Precode Hollywood, that brief but electrifying era between the arrival of sound in the 1920s and the rigid code enforcement, the production code of the mid-1930s, produced some of the boldest and most daring films in American cinema. During these years, filmmakers reveled in their newfound freedom, pushing boundaries with risque themes and frank sexuality. We're going to take a look at 5 of what I believe to be the best and most shocking pre-code films of the early 1930s. Let's get started.
Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel, Tragic Hollywood on the Town. I'm putting out a short little video, something a little different for me. This is going to deal with the top 5 naughtiest pre-code films of Hollywood. And this is an interesting subject because before the Hays Office and Hollywood began self-censoring itself, there were a few movies out there that would raise some eyebrows today, much less back in the 1930s. So we're going to take a look at 5 of my top favorite pre-code films. So let's get started.
Number 5 is She Done Him Wrong, starring the incorrigible Mae West and a newcomer, Cary Grant. This movie was absolutely packed with double entendres from Mae West, mostly sexual in nature, and riled up the critics big time, the moralist critics, I should say. This is the film in which Mae West famously quips, "Why don't you come up and see me sometime?" as Cary Grant's swooning over her. The movie's content included prostitution, white slavery, sex trafficking, robbery, and murder, all presented with an underlying tone of sexual suggestion that pushed the boundaries of what would be acceptable for the time. Number 4, Red-Headed Woman. Jean Harlow really pushed the boundaries with this film about an amoral woman who gets a job as a secretary with the sole intent of seducing her boss, played by actor Chester Morris, with her overt sexuality, wrecking his marriage, and sleeping her way to the top. It contains a notorious scene where her married lover slaps Harlow and she tells him excitedly to do it again. I like it. Number 3, Of Human Bondage. I can't say enough about how gritty and real this movie was for the time. It showed overt drug addiction in such a realistic manner that it would take decades for this to be fully appreciated. Bette Davis was at her absolute top game in this movie, playing a prostitute who becomes a drug addict later on and ruins her life as a result. Bette Davis's character forms a sadistic relationship with a young and naive artist played by Leslie Howard, and the relationship proves caustic and damaging. In one scene, when he tries to leave her, she tells him to go ahead, and she says that every time he kissed her, she had to wipe her mouth. And this is a very graphic scene in which she literally wipes her mouth with the back of her arm and says, "Wipe my mouth." And it's very raw and very real. And like I said, it would take decades for films to get this real again. That's why this is number 3 on my list of best pre-code films. Number 2, Babyface, starring a very young Barbara Stanwyck as a woman who was abused as a child and has become a hardened narcissist who uses sex to manipulate men into giving her better jobs. She eventually sleeps her way to the top. There's a scene in this film that was so suggestive, I'm shocked it was allowed to stay. Stanwyck and her boss emerge from a closet as someone enters the office. Stanwyck stands up, straightens her skirt, and applies new lipstick. And of course the suggestion here is that they were having illicit relations in the closet, with Stanwyck doing all of the work, if you know what I mean. Number 1, the epic Cecil B. DeMille film, part of a trilogy, The Sign of the Cross. This movie was so daring that they had to pull it from theaters and re-release it after severely editing out the more, quote, offensive scenes, such as Claudette Colbert bathing nude in goat's milk, with a little nip slip here and there, a lesbian erotic dance scene, skimpy costumes, graphic violence, including decapitations and gorillas and lions eating naked Christian women. The film was originally released in 1932, but re-released after the Hays Moral Code kicked in 1938, with all of the aforementioned scenes cut. Too bad. The original film, the only sound film in DeMille's religious trilogy, the other two being The Ten Commandments and The King of Kings, must have been riveting, shocking, and sublimely entertaining. There you have it. That's my list for the best pre-code films of Hollywood. So let me know in the comments if you agree with me. Let me know what you think I might have forgotten or what movie I might have added that you didn't think deserved that position. And please like and comment and subscribe and do all the things, and I really appreciate it if you made it this far in the video. Thank you.
Thanks for joining me on my journey of pre-codeness. I hope you found it enlightening, and maybe you learned a little bit of something about pre-code Hollywood. Of course, all of the 1920s was pre-code Hollywood, but these are the 5 films that brushed right up against the era right before the Hays office started self-censoring Hollywood. And that office censored Hollywood from 1934 all the way up into the late 60s. So that was a long time, which is why we didn't have a lot of hard-hitting or tough or controversial films. Some slid under the radar, but most films stayed on the straight and narrow after that. But there were films before that really pushed the limits. And I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. Do all the things, like, subscribe, and check out my books. Thanks. Bye.